Today we will talk about the Tenek. Don't think that Tenek have anything to do with a video game or anime, because they are an indigenous group that survived the Spanish arrival. And today it is estimated that there are more than 170,000 Tenek people spread across states such as San Luis Potosí, Veracruz, Hidalgo, Puebla, and Tamaulipas. Most of them inhabit the famous Huasteca region. A people with various denominations: Tenek, Tenek, or Tenek. But any of these means the people who live in the countryside. The Tenek had their name changed, and for many today they are better known as Huastecs, a word that some say derives from Nahuatl and was later Hispanized as we know it now. Their history is interesting, as they are descendants of the Maya, and their language in a variant of Maya, but it's curious to see that these groups are separated from the other Maya groups in the southern region of the country, where the separation of these groups from the others has two possible theories. The first suggests that the ancient Tenek migrated from the Maya areas in the south to the north where they are today. That's why some within their communities say they are the only group that migrated north, unlike the rest who migrated south to Mexico and Central America. And another version indicates that the Maya groups were along the entire Gulf of Mexico coast, but their geographical continuity was broken with the arrival of the Totonacs and Mexicas, incursions that separated the Maya from the coast, sending the Tenek northward. Today, the Tenek mostly inhabit San Luis Potosí, sharing the area with Nahuas and Mestizos. But during the time of Moctezuma I, a part of this territory was conquered and subdued by the Mexicas. And as it happened with almost all indigenous groups, despite resistance, the Tenek, who did not have a unified government, fell to the Spanish and their allies. Their largest current distribution is located in San Luis Potosí and northern Veracruz. A part of their rich worldview is found reflected in their textiles, which are proof that the original worldview not only mixed with the Spanish but also with the modernity of our times. Speaking of their beliefs, we have that textiles not only of the Tenek but of any other indigenous culture are open books of their worldview, which in all cultures have common traits, where their garments transmit to us stories, legends, myths, and symbolism. But the materials they have used in more recent times belong more to our modernity than to the pre-Hispanic past. And to prove this, let's talk about the materials used in Tenek embroidery. In this culture, especially women must weave their own keshkemitul, called dyeing lamp in Tenek. And their base materials consist of yarns of 3 threads. Obviously, these types of yarns did not exist in the pre-Hispanic or colonial era, but despite this, these threads refer to weaving divinities of faith among the Tenek, not being exclusive to them. There are many myths of women using weaving to determine the destiny and life of human beings, where the threads link and unite us with the universe around us. Now, the spatial field that represents the universe among the Tenek is formed by a white fabric. It turns out that modern Tenek do not use any type of fabric, but a called etamine, a word that derives from French étaminer. Etamine is a rough fabric made with threads in taffeta or mat weaving. And as you can see in the image, the etamine has holes that serves as a guide for the weavers for their designs, not having to calculate the seams of the fabric. Here you can appreciate 1, 2 and 3 threads, and therefore they use the 3-thread yarn. So, the 3-thread yarn and the etamina are the elements that allow distinguish the original weavings from the pirates. There are textiles, supposedly Tenek, that use thinner threads than the normal yarn, and fabrics that do not correspond to etamine, as we see in this image where Tenek weavings and colors are copied. These garments are made with industrial machines. But while these materials are Hispanic, they still reflect their beliefs, because the use of etamine, in addition to facilitating the embroidery work, also show us, even with small stitches like the ones we see here, the representation of a cross that obviously is not Christian, but that holds many meanings, as we will see now. These small crosses are small fractals of larger crosses. The main garment of Tenek women is the keshkemitul, which is a representation of the microcosm, where worn by a woman. This garment places her at the center of the universe and connected to the moon. The star is one of the main symbols of the Tenek, representing the 4 cardinal points of the cosmos. There is a special selection of colors where each cardinal direction is assigned a color. Many other cultures also use and still use color schemes assigned to the 4 directions, such as the Mexicas, the Purépechas, and others like their Mayan relatives. But unlike the Southern Maya, the Tenek mainly use the colors red, green, yellow, orange, and pink. These colors, when depicted on the etamine, speak to us about the 4 cardinal points. One possible explanation for the cardinal point and the meaning of each color is as follows. Red represents the color of the Great Father, authority who created everything and watches over the north. This color is also found in corn. Pink is the color of the south, and is the color of Mother Earth, the love for the earth. Vivid pink is found in rib pitayas. Orange or yellow is the color of the east, the sunlight when it rises. And green symbolizes the color of the soul of life, because the spirit separated from the body towards the west where the sun sets. This star also speaks of 4 guardians that are at each cardinal point. The star has one more symbolism which, while beautiful, proves how their beliefs were distorted by Europeans to this day. Because the Tenek star is divided into 8 petals, usually with a green center point. Each petal represents a month of pregnancy, with the first month in the center, thus completing 9 months of gestation. Therefore, the star is close to the woman's belly. However, this new way of counting gestation does not correspond to the old one, as all developed cultures had periods of 13 and 20 days, not months of 29, 30 and 31 days. Thus, the gestation period was uncontaminated, was closer to the secret count of 260 days rather than the 9 Gregorian months. So, if the Tenek star existed before the European arrival, this current pattern of 9 Gregorian months would not apply. Other designs shown by the star also refer to these arms representing the four supports of a house, again alluding to the cardinal points, but also to the pillars that every Tenek house needs to be built. Some stars have an S, which one version refers to in allusion to the wind and another that represents corn cobs. So this star has an 8-point windflower. It speaks to us about how the wind helps bring water, but also how it carries plant seeds to give life in other places. And well, here we sometimes have various designs, and the meaning changes depending on who you ask. Because let's not forget that many of these designs were specific to each family. And for example, we mentioned the 4 cardinal points, but other stars speak of more geographical points as we see here. The Tenek star being a kind of woven compass. And currently, it must be recognized that there have been new innovations in their weavings, because it is not possible to find a unique pattern, as different colors are used today, as we see here. Now, let's talk about the Tree of Life, which is another famous Tenek design. The tree speaks to us of 3 levels: the sky in the trunk and branches, the ground where humans live, and the branches representing the underworld. This tree generates seeds that represent man, while the air that receives the seed to give new life represents the woman. The tree has a dual concept. Obviously, we also have an infinity of designs of animals that live among the Tenek, which are varied in shapes and designs, being a kind of photograph that portrays the fauna and flora in their communities. And another garment unique to the Tenek is the so-called petop, which represents the entire world for them. The petop is a headdress worn by Tenek women, which also uses the base colors we mentioned earlier. Although the oldest petop was obviously made with vines that grown on the river banks. These branches were later replaced by yarn. Now, the larger the petop, the higher the status of the woman wearing it. The colors there used depend on various factors. For example, if the woman is a girl, she only used green and pink. The married woman adds orange and red. When the woman is widowed, she uses green and yellow. And with the petop and the Dayan lab, we have a duality of forms, as the petop is a circular shape, while the keshkemitl is a rectangular shape. Obviously, several of these symbols have changed over time. For example, in the past, it was said that unmarried women did not use the beads on their keshkemitl, because only when they got married could they put the beads on their clothing. But, as you can see in these images, even young girls now wear the beads, and the allocation of color has also changed, adding to their attire generally beaded necklines, pink blouses and black skirts. But their worldview over time has not only remained in these main garments, because today they make bags, scarves, table centers, dolls, earrings, little bags, and several other things, which they sell to acquire more resources to survive. For all this, you can appreciate that these are not simple garments to use, and that's it. In fact, there are versions that point out that not long ago, women who were going to die asked not to be buried with their woven garments, so that the knowledge of their weaving and symbolism would not be lost, allowing the patterns not to be lost. Therefore, this type of clothing should stop being called only mere crafts for tourists. Appreciate and value the Tenek worldview.